You got a convenience store that can freely travel between the apocalypse and the real world. You thought countless zombies would tear you to pieces, but the store unexpectedly has absolute protection. So you started selling cheap instant noodles, bottled water, and ham sausages at high prices. In the dangerous wasteland of the apocalypse, you'll build a business empire of your own. At this moment, you're holding a hot phone and listening to your girlfriend say coldly, "Let's break up." It has been 3 years since graduation, and you still don't have any savings. Your girlfriend finally couldn't stand your poverty anymore and turned to the rich second-generation manhwa instead. After the call ended, you sat on the stool, feeling defeated. For the past few years, to pay for your parents' treatment, you borrowed 350,000 yuan. In the end, your parents still passed away, and you still couldn't pay back the money. All you had left was a barely hanging on convenience store. But just then, everything suddenly started spinning. After looking around, you realized you'd arrived in the apocalypse. Through the window, you saw a bunch of zombies. The zombies were also drawn to the convenience store that had suddenly appeared. The next second, they all charged at you like crazy. You thought, it is over. But the sound of shattering glass you expected never came. The door that would normally break at a touch didn't budge at all now. Just then, a light screen appeared in front of your eyes. Current world, apocalypse era, store status, absolutely safe. Dimensional travel can be used again in 12 hours. In other words, as long as you stay here for 12 hours, you can return to the original world. You glanced at the monsters outside and ran a frustrated hand through your hair. The shop was less than 20 square meters and packed with all kinds of goods. Braised beef instant noodles, bottled water, ham sausages, bread, cookies. In the original world, all of this together was worth almost nothing. But what about here? A thought rose from deep in your mind. In the apocalyptic world, the most valuable things aren't gold or diamonds, but clean food and water. You rushed to the shelf in a few quick steps and picked up the most ordinary bottle of water. In the original world, this bottle of water sells for 2 yuan. In this world, overrun by zombies, how much would it be worth? You thought of that 350,000 yuan debt and remembered what Zhang Qian said on the phone, "Let's break up." You twisted open that bottle of water and took a big gulp. What you need to do now is use these 12 hours to earn your first pot of gold. You even started to wonder if 1 bottle of water for 1 gram of gold was too little. 1 bottle of water for 10 grams of gold. 1 pack of instant noodles for 100 grams. You forced yourself to calm down. Right now, you need customers first. With more than a dozen zombies blocking the door, what survivor would dare come near? But just sitting there for 12 hours was something you absolutely couldn't accept. Your eyes fell on the braised beef instant noodles. And just like that, a plan formed in your mind. In this world filled with rust and the stench of decay, what could be more irresistible than a fragrant bowl of instant noodles? You plugged it in and pressed the switch. The kettle started bubbling. There was actually still electricity in the convenience store. It seemed this system-bound space was completely separate from the outside world, a world of its own. The water boiled quickly. A rich, overpowering aroma instantly filled the shop. Even you couldn't help swallowing. But then another problem came up. How could you send that mouth-watering smell outside with any precision? You couldn't exactly open the door. You looked around the shop. In the end, your eyes landed on a range hood. The rich aroma drifted through that tiny passage and floated outside, into that deathly silent world. Time passed second by second. Outside, it was still silent as the grave. Just when your patience was running out, a burst of flames suddenly swept over those dozen or so zombies. You looked out the window warily. It was a woman. Her eyes swept over this shop, so out of place among the surrounding ruins. Interesting. In a hellhole like this, someone actually dares to open a store. She walked straight toward the entrance, but the next second, she slammed into an invisible glass wall. You're awakened too. Is this your ability? After a moment of silence, I'm Nightingale. Xiaoguo. How much for that? Gold. What age do you think this is? Who still uses something that useless? I only take gold here. Seeing how forceful her attitude was, Nightingale raised her hand and fired a shot. A burst of flame shot straight at your face, but the flame still vanished the instant it touched the barrier. Can we talk business now? Fine, Boss Guo. How much for this cup of instant noodles? Not much, 100 grams of gold. Why don't you just rob me? Even if gold is about as unwanted as scrap metal right now, that doesn't mean it is lying around everywhere. You don't have to buy it. After saying that, you ignored her. Instead, you started eating the noodles you just made. The sound of your slurping was especially grating. Nightingale swallowed involuntarily. She couldn't even remember how long it had been since she'd had a hot meal. Normally, she got by on scavenged canned food and energy bars, but those things could only keep her alive and gave her no real pleasure from eating. Just then, her stomach let out a soft growl, even though it was very quiet. In this kind of setting, it might as well have been thunder. Nightingale's cheeks instantly flushed red. You acted as if you hadn't heard it and kept enjoying your instant noodles. I don't have that much gold right now. Can you let me pay later? No credit here. You weren't here to do charity work. Besides, you'll be going back in less than 12 hours. Who knows if Nightingale can bring the gold back in time? At last, you finished the last bite of noodles and let out a satisfied burp. You casually took a sausage off the shelf, then flicked it with your fingers, sending it in a perfect arc through the air, as casually as if you were feeding a stray cat on the side of the road. Nightingale's body instantly stiffened. This was outright contempt, but reason told her that she should pick up the sausage and eat it right away. Time seemed to freeze. In the end, after 2.5 seconds, hunger defeated dignity. In just 3 bites, the sausage was completely gone. This is my sincerity. 100 grams of gold for a bowl of noodles. Fair price, no tricks. Wait for me. She tossed out those 2 words and turned to leave. With her skills, as long as she could find a survivor camp or some bank vault from before the disaster, getting 100 grams of gold wouldn't be hard. But then you called out to her again. Wait. You calmly took out a can of cola. The legendary cola, a drink that used to be everywhere before the apocalypse. But now, it was more luxurious than any fine liquor. This one costs 50 grams of gold a can. Without waiting for Nightingale to respond, you tore open another pack of spicy strips. This one is cheaper, 30 grams of gold. A can of ice-cold cola, spicy strips, and hot instant noodles. Before the apocalypse, these 3 things were just the cheapest combo. But now, they were unbelievably tempting. Nightingale's fists clenched at her sides until they creaked. You'd better have enough stock ready. Then, she disappeared. She was going to get gold. Right now, this instant. At this moment, dimensional travel still had 10.5 hours left on cooldown. You started checking your supplies. Master Kong, 10 cases of Nongfu Spring, 15 packs of spicy strips, and plenty of sausages. You even found 5 eggs in the corner. An idea came to mind. A little over an hour later, a loud bang came from outside the door. Nightingale was back. She looked a little worn out, and she had a black bag in her hand. 200 grams of gold, no less, maybe more. Allow this item to enter the safe zone one way. After silently granting permission, the black bag was lifted by an invisible hand and gently dropped at your feet. Nightingale's pupils shrank sharply again. This man was even more unfathomable than she had imagined. After checking the goods, you took out braised beef instant noodles, ice-cold cola, and spicy strips. Then, right in front of Nightingale, you boiled another kettle of water. Finally, carrying the steaming bowl of instant noodles, you walked to the door. Just when Nightingale thought you were about to hand the food over, you suddenly stopped. You took an egg out of your pocket and looked at Nightingale. Miss, want to add an egg? How much? 50 grams of gold. For 1 egg, 50 grams of gold. Why don't you just rob me? You don't have to buy it. This shop's eggs are sold only to those destined for them. With that, you were about to put the egg back in your bag. Wait. As a powerful flame awakener, Nightingale had always been the one others submitted to. But today, she kept hitting one wall after another. The words, "I don't want it anymore," were stuck in her throat, unable to come out. She reached into a small leather pouch at her waist and felt around inside. A crystal, the size of a pigeon egg, lay quietly in her palm. I don't have any more gold on me right now. I'll trade this for your egg. You raised an eyebrow. You thought to yourself, what the hell is this thing? Just as you were about to refuse, a light screen appeared. High energy item detected. Low-level zombie crystal core. Strongly recommend completing this transaction. I had it all wrong. So you'd misunderstood how the convenience store worked. You'd been trying to figure out how to pay back that 350,000 debt, when in fact, the convenience store was after these crystal cores. In an instant, everything clicked. But your face still showed a hint of disgust. What kind of lousy rock is this? It looks pretty gross. This is a crystal core from a zombie's brain. It is essential for awakeners to cultivate. Gold isn't even fit to be compared to it. So crystal cores were this world's cultivation resource. I run a convenience store. What would I want with this thing? Nightingale trembled with rage. This man was not only impossible to reason with, he was also blind to value. Seeing that she looked ready to explode at any moment, you let out a sigh. Fine, fine. Since you're being so sincere, I'll make an exception this once. As soon as you finished speaking, you silently said to yourself. The crystal core instantly vanished from Nightingale's palm. Without even looking at it, you casually slipped the crystal core into your pocket. Then you brought over a deluxe cup of instant noodles with extra egg, along with a cola and some spicy strips, and set them in front of Nightingale. She picked up the fork and started wolfing it down, not even leaving the chopped scallions at the bottom of the bowl. Then she opened the cola and finished it in one go. Only then did she tear open the spicy strips and eat them one by one. The whole time, you just watched in silence. I'll be back. After dropping those words, Nightingale turned and disappeared into the darkness at the corner. Only after Nightingale left did you take out the crystal core. A basic zombie crystal core can break the lock on human genes. After using it, there is a chance of becoming an awakened one if the absorption fails. The user will be broken down into basic particles on the spot. The success rate is less than 1%. Your hand trembled, and you almost threw the crystal core away. What the hell is this? Less than a 1% success rate. How is this an opportunity? This is clearly a one-way ticket to hell. But then the convenience store popped up a prompt. Within the store's range, the host will be immune to any form of harm, including but not limited to physical damage, energy impact, mental contamination, and genetic collapse. You looked at the crystal core in your hand again. For you, this meant zero risk and huge reward. How do I use it? Swallow it directly. This thing doesn't look edible at all. But when you thought of Nightingale summoning flames out of thin air, you swallowed it whole. The next second, a wave of intense pain swept through your entire body. Your whole body curled up like a shrimp. Second by second, time passed. At last, the agony faded, replaced by a body overflowing with strength. Is this what an awakened one feels like? What terrifying strength. You copied Nightingale's pose and tried to summon flames, but there was absolutely nothing at your fingertips. Damn it, did the awakening fail? The more you thought about it, the angrier you got. You slammed your fist into the shelf beside you. Suddenly, the shelf and all the snacks on it vanished. Your consciousness was linked to another space, and inside it was the missing shelf. You tried reaching out your hand. The missing shelf returned to its original place. Only then did the system prompt appear. Awakened one, Xiaoguo, your awakened dimensional storage can isolate space, time, and consciousness. Its current storage capacity is 1 cubic meter. As you kept storing and taking out the spicy strips, storing and taking them out, you gradually fell into deep thought. Gold can only solve the debt crisis, but crystal cores are the real key to dimensional travel. There are still 9 hours left on the cooldown. You had to stock up on more crystal cores before leaving. The smell of just one pack of instant noodles drew in the Nightingales. What if you boosted that smell tenfold or even 20-fold? So you pulled out a huge pot and cooked a full 20 packs of instant noodles. Finally, you turned the range hood up to the highest setting. This was your apocalyptic Buddha jumps over the wall. 3 blocks away, inside an abandoned building, a young man was huddled in the corner. A scar-faced man was wiping down a gun barrel. A man with glasses said worriedly, "Brother Hu, Xiaolu's injuries have gotten worse again. If we still can't find medicine, he probably won't make it." The scar-faced man known as Brother Hu nodded. The food in this area had already been completely picked clean. Medicine was even more out of reach. But just then, a tempting aroma drifted in. "Brother Hu, someone's cooking noodles outside." "Shut up," his reason told him. This was definitely a trap. In the apocalypse, anyone who dared cook out in the open was either insane or a hunter with overwhelming strength. But their bodies, already tortured by hunger, kept growling in waves. "Find it, eat it." The man with glasses was getting anxious too. "Brother Hu, we're running out of time. If we get there too late, there won't even be any broth left." Brother Hu knew better than anyone that if this kept up, the 3 of them would starve to death sooner or later. In the end, a ruthless glint flashed in his eyes. They moved through street after street and spotted a small convenience store. A huge electric cooker was sitting right at the entrance. The pot was filled with instant noodles and ham sausages, and you were leaning casually against the doorframe. A trap. This had to be a trap. The 3 of them swallowed hard, but didn't dare step forward. Just then, he saw that behind the abandoned vehicle across from him, there was a man hiding in ambush. The others noticed him too. Brother Hu quickly made a gesture for everyone to stay quiet. Brother Hu calmed down, and soon spotted more people lying in wait. There was a blurry figure in the second-floor window on the left, and a metallic glint behind the trash pile in the alley on the right. At least 4 groups, like them, had been drawn in by the smell. Of course, you inside the hall knew that quite a few people had gathered nearby. Everyone, after watching for so long, aren't you hungry? Your voice wasn't loud, but every person hiding nearby heard it. But there was no response at all. You fished a piece of sausage out of the pot and stuffed it into your mouth. Business is built on goodwill. I've got noodles and water here, and plenty of sausage to fill you up. The man behind the abandoned car finally couldn't hold back and spoke. What is the price? Gold or crystal cores? Everyone was stunned for a moment. Crystal cores made sense. They were real hard currency. But in the apocalypse, gold wasn't even worth as much as a steel plate. At that moment, an angry shout came from behind the trash pile. Damn it, this punk is messing with us. He never planned to trade. Let's kill him together. We'll split what is in the pot evenly. As soon as he said that, the atmosphere instantly turned even stranger. Everyone was thinking fast. But you kept eating your noodles without even looking up. You can try, but let me make this clear first. Anyone who makes a move will lose the right to trade, and can only watch helplessly as others eat noodles and drink the soup. The man behind the trash pile couldn't hold back any longer. Damn it, I don't buy this. He pulled out a shotgun, and 2 more men came out from behind him, holding a machete and a steel pipe. Everyone was waiting for someone to make the first move and test you. The man pulled the trigger without hesitation. But when the bullet was 2.5 meters from the convenience store, it hit an invisible wall. From start to finish, you didn't even flinch. You even fished out another sausage and stuffed it into your mouth. The entire square fell into an eerie silence. His 2 companions with the machete and steel pipe also froze in place. Just then, the man behind the abandoned car seemed to realize something. Since physical attacks don't work, what about non-physical attacks? An invisible wave gathered in his palm. An invisible burst of psychic force shot toward you. This was his ability, Psychic Pierce. But when that psychic blast hit the convenience store, it didn't even cause the slightest ripple. At that moment, everyone understood. Inside the small hall, you were invincible. Even Tiger Bro's underling was already drenched in cold sweat. He was extremely relieved that he hadn't acted on impulse just now. You finally finished the noodles in your mouth. Then you looked toward the man behind the trash pile. I said it before. Anyone who makes a move will lose the right to trade. Does anyone still want to try? The area fell into deathly silence once again, just as the tense standoff was about to drive everyone crazy. The rhythmic click of high heels came closer and closer. Everyone looked toward the source of the sound. It was Nightingale. Tiger Bro recognized the woman. Or rather, in these ruins, any survivor who had lived long enough had heard of Nightingale, a top-awakened fighter who used fire as her weapon. What is she doing here? You've really caused quite a stir. There are always people who have to learn the hard way. I suggest you all put away those thoughts you shouldn't be having. Forget the scrap metal in your hands. Even I couldn't damage this store in the slightest. The whole square fell silent once again. Tiger Bro took a deep breath and slowly walked out. He spread his hands open to show that he had no weapon. The people hiding in the other corners also started showing themselves one by one. Nightingale stopped paying attention to the others. She pulled several items from her belt. 3 gleaming gold bars. Each one weighed a kilo. I want cookies, canned food, and water. Any food that is easy to carry and store. For a top hunter, those ready-to-eat processed foods were the more practical choice. You liked doing business with smart people. Soon, you brought out compressed biscuits, luncheon meat, canned food, and bottled water. A deal was easily completed in front of everyone. Nightingale took the food. Then he turned and disappeared into the darkness. Everyone's attention shifted back to you. This time, there was no more testing or killing intent. Only the purest desire remained. Now, it is your turn. You all understand the rules, right? Gold or crystal cores for food. Except for the guy guarding the door, of course. The man finally couldn't hold on any longer. He crawled and stumbled over to you. Boss, I was wrong. I really was wrong. Please, just give me a bite to eat. Even a sip of soup is enough. The 2 companions behind him also dropped to their knees and begged for mercy. The survivors around them felt no sympathy, only relief that they hadn't acted impulsively just now. I said anyone who made a move loses their chance. After saying that, you stopped paying them any attention. Your gaze swept across everyone there. Who else wants to trade? Brother Who pulled out a crystal core and held it out to you. With a thought, the crystal core dropped into your pocket. You didn't say anything else, and simply turned around and took out 3 large bowls. You filled them to the brim with noodles and ham sausage. Brother Who held the bowl of noodles and felt a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. The 3 of them immediately buried their faces in the bowls and scarfed the food down. Once someone took the first step, The people behind them could no longer hold back. No, boss, I'll trade. Me too. I have crystal cores. The man who had attacked you earlier also came up to you. He silently took out 2 crystal cores and didn't dare look you in the face. You took them without expression and gave him a bowl too. Once trading started, there was no stopping it. Some people took out gold jewelry, while others took out crystal cores of different sizes. Before long, more than a dozen crystal cores were piled up under your counter, and the big pot of noodles was gradually running low. But just then, the 3 men from earlier fell into complete despair. If I don't get to eat, then none of you are eating either.